What up, spinsters? It's another episode of the Monday Morning Mentor, and I, Jason Wright, am your Monday Morning Mentor. If you need another mentor for the rest of the days of the week, okay, I get it. But Monday morning, you got me. You tuned in, so you got me. I found a new show that Jimlin and I are watching, and it prompted me to think of something that I'm going to start doing more often. And I think it's going to be really fun. So stay tuned and we're going to get right into that. Hey, if you are watching this on YouTube, please click like or subscribe. If you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star rating and please share it with someone who you think could use it. Now, let's listen to the music and then get right back into it. Jimlin and I have discovered a new show that we can actually watch together. We are not big TV people. Generally, what Jimlin and I do is watch the same movie over and over and over. There's like 3 movies by Nancy Meyers that we watch all the time. But occasionally, we will find a limited series like either on Apple or Hulu through HBO or HBO through Hulu, whatever, that we actually like and we'll watch it together. And I discovered one this week called Rooster. It's got Steve Carell in it. I'm a huge Steve Carell fan. I'm a huge fan of The Office. And pretty much anything Steve Carell does, I'm here for it. His movies are great. He's got some of the most amazing range of any actor that I have ever seen. And so anyway, I found this show called Rooster. The premise of it, and it's on HBO if you want to check it out. So the premise of it is, he's a very successful author. He writes these books, and the main character's name is Rooster. He's kind of like I think he's kind of like a James Bond type guy. And these are like what he calls beach reads. They are really like thin on intellectualism or whatever. But anyway, he's very successful, and he's gone back to be the author in residence at the university where his daughter happens to be a professor. All right. And so he's teaching this writing class, and one of the students kind of calls him out and says, you know, are you Rooster? Do you think you're Rooster? And of course, he is the exact opposite. He's kind of I wouldn't say he's an intellectual, but Steve Carell is Steve Carell. He's definitely not a guy that you would consider a James Bond type figure. And the cover of the book has a picture of Rooster on it with these washboard abs or whatever. And the students kind of tease him as though, wow, dude, well, if that is you look really good. And one of the things that Steve Carell says is that, well, actually, I do kind of write for Rooster. He does all the things I would like to do. And that's what today's Monday Morning Mentor is about. Not you and I going and becoming novelists and writing about the things we would like to do, but there's something there. I think that if we were to take the time and to visualize the people that we really want to be, maybe not in the form of a book, but maybe journaling, to stop and write down, what would the ideal you, as you define it, not as anybody else, not the matrix, not society, not your mom and dad, no, but you, if you were really your ideal self, if you were to write it down, what would your health be like? What kind of friend would you be? What kind of a partner would you be? Husband or wife? What kind of dad or mom? What would you be if you were the ideal version of yourself? You know, the motto for the Jason Wright Show is to improve always in all ways. And that doesn't mean that we have to constantly be striving to not be satisfied with who we are and always achieve more. That's really not it at all. What it is, it's this attitude that I take on for myself that I'm trying to share with all of you, to always be looking to do just a little better in every area of your life. I used to talk about this thing called the Vitruvian Project. Vitruvian Man, which all of you have seen on the cover of anatomy books and everything. It was made famous by Leonardo da Vinci, even though he wasn't the first one to draw Vitruvian Man. His is the most famous. And essentially what Da Vinci was doing when he drew his Vitruvian Man was trying to draw the perfectly proportioned man. And so I took that and thought, well, that's a pretty cool muse for this idea of trying to become the perfectly proportioned human being. And that's what I started setting out for myself, knowing I'm never going to reach perfection. That's just not going to happen. But I knew that there was always room for improvement in my health, in my relationships, in my intellectualism, in my ability to think and to comprehend different ideas and so just to be a better human. And so that's whenever I started this whole idea of the Vitruvian Project and improve all ways and all ways. And whenever I heard that on the TV show Rooster, I thought, well, that's a kind of a cool idea. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to start doing. So what I'm talking to you about today is not something that I've practiced. I mean, I've put thought into it and I've journaled, but I don't think I've ever written down what I would be like, what I would look like, what the ideal Jason would be. And I don't know what form this is going to take. I don't know if it's going to be a story. As you know, I have written a couple books, and so maybe I will start trying to hash out, like maybe write a story about myself going through a day. This is how I would go through the perfect day. This is what it would look like, and write it down almost in story form. But the bigger picture here for me is, and the thing that I'm hoping that you guys will take from this and is just at least get a picture and an idea of who you'd like to be. And what I would want you to also do is ask yourself this very important question. If you're not that ideal self, why not? What's keeping you from becoming your ideal self, the best version of you? Because what you're going to find, and this is something I battle with all the time, you know, even though I'm the guy with the podcast, and those of you who know me, I'm just constantly obsessed with self-improvement and all this crap. I've done this stuff for years. It's not crap, but I mean, you know what I mean? I just want to put more weight on it than there is. Even I am constantly coming up with excuses for not pushing through and getting better and being and doing the things I really want to do in this life. I mean, it's, you know, I'm over halfway through. I mean, I do plan to live to be at least be 100, but I'm 51. So that gives me 49 more years. And so I want to get some cool stuff done, not because I have to, and I'm not, you know, I'm stopping to enjoy. And some of those things that I'm talking about doing are just slowing down, being more present. You guys hear me talk about it on the podcast. It's one of the reasons why I'm constantly trying to exercise my brain and be more present and clear things away and do the digital detox and that sort of thing, which, by the way, that's going pretty well. I am really dialed in on the digital detox. Here's a little tip. Okay, sidebar, taking a break from today's normal message to give you a little bit of an update on the digital detox I'm doing. I discovered whenever I reloaded Duolingo, I'm going back to my French lessons. I want to go back, and Jimlin and I are going to try to continue learning French. Okay. Well, there is this part of Duolingo, and maybe other apps do this, I don't know, but Duolingo, you can actually set it to where you cannot open any of your other apps until you do a Duolingo lesson. And so this morning when I got up to check my sleep score on my Aura, Duolingo would not let me into Aura until I'd completed a lesson. And at first I thought, well, this is kind of, I don't know that I want to do this. I want my freaking sleep score. But then you know what? I left it. And I did a lesson. And then I checked my sleep score. Pretty cool. So anyway, that's just kind of, and the reason why I'm talking about that in the form of the digital detox is because since I'm trying to remove some of the garbage on my phone, like Instagram, YouTube, and all these things that where I go down those dopamine-seeking rabbit holes, I'm trying to replace it with things like Duolingo and learning French. So anyway, just a little update there on the digital detox since I talked about it earlier. But one of the things that I want to do is I'm going to try to write it out. And maybe this leads to another book, you know, and asking the questions of why haven't you done the thing? So I have a book that I wrote. It's my first like pure, just entertainment, fictional novel. I've had it written for almost a year, pretty much done. But the one reason why it's not published is because it is a headache trying to self-publish a book and get it on Amazon through Kindle publishing, Kindle self-publishing. I thought about actually going the traditional route with this one, looking for a book agent and seeing if I could, get some interest in the book. But I mean, the bottom line is that's the likelihood of that happening is so slim unless you've got a massive following or you've done something else. Literary agents just aren't going to pay attention to me. And so anyway, and what I found is that most of your friends at a lot of businesses like that could help you, they just won't. They're just not going to. They just won't help you. I've learned that the hard way. I've got friends that are in publishing and friends that have, spouses actually that have been really highly published, but they're not going to help you. You're on your own, and that's okay. And so I have let the headache of trying to get that stupid book published hold me back. Well, I'm not going to do that anymore. I sat down this week and I was like, okay, what's the first step to getting this thing to a point where I can move toward getting it published? And the reason why is because in the better version of myself, I'm doing a lot more writing. The ideal version of Jason is being in this room, doing the podcast, but also I'm writing a book at least one a year, whether anybody ever reads it or not. That's not the point. See, if I were explaining this to my father, he would immediately jump to the worst possible conclusion that the only reason I'm doing it is for vanity because I want to be famous and I want to be rich. Whatever the worst reason I could want to be an author, that's what my father would apply to me. No daddy issues there or anything. But anyway, that's not why I would do it. I want to get back to writing more on a more regular basis. So the ideal version of me would sit down and write more. So I might put in my little journal of the story of me doing things I want to do is, I came to my office, I sat down and I spent at least 1 hour putting some thoughts on paper that I thought could lead to a book. So what are you willing to do to try to be the ideal version of yourself as you see it? Maybe this is a good idea. Even if it's not, even if it just gets you to stop and think about what does the ideal you look like, then I think my job on this Monday morning has been accomplished. This episode of the Jason Wright Show is brought to you by Authentic Health. Check it out at shopauthentic.health.com. Use promo code Jason for a 10% discount off of your essential fats, your essential nutrients, your essential amino acids. This is the 3-bottle stack I take each and every day to boost my immune system, to boost my energy, to make sure that I'm getting all those rich nutrients that I'm just not going to get in today's mass-produced food environment. Check it out, and don't forget to click like or subscribe if you're watching this on the YouTube channel. And please, if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, leave a 5-star rating, subscribe, and thank you again for listening. I'm Jason, and now I'm really out.